You are listening to Mining Stock Education, where you'll learn from the top leaders in the natural resource sector and uncover quality mining investment opportunities.
On this news release, I actually wanted to say, and I'm saying it now, but it's not in writing, that this is the best oil property I have come across in my career. And my lawyer said, no, you can't say that. So now I said it, but I couldn't say that.
Can I make that the title of this episode then, Art? Is that okay if I take that quote?
Well, I'll let people figure it out right now.
Welcome back to Mining Stock Education. I'm your host, Bill Powers. And in today's episode, we're getting an update from our sponsor, Turkiye Energy, and its CEO, Art Halleran. Art, welcome back onto the show. You just acquired some oil blocks onshore in Turkey, and you've been working on your natural gas production and growing that in the Black Sea, but now you're back on land. For investors that don't know, you actually have some onshore oil production that's not talked about much, but it does produce a little cash flow for the company. But walk us through this acquisition. Why this acquisition and why now, please?
Okay, yeah, thanks for having me back on to explain this. So why this now? I've always said SASB was the engine that was supposed to fund the company growing. And we've been drilling SASB for almost a year. And every time we drill and get a good gas well, the shares don't really go up. They kind of stay level. And I always said I wanted to pick up an exploration block for oil probably in August, and it's August. And the concept now is that this is a fantastic area and a fantastic block. And they say if the plan doesn't work, change the plan, but not the goal. And so now let's use SASB cash to find some very large oil deposits in this area. So what we've done, and this is a farm-in, this is in the southeastern part of Turkey. We picked up 3 blocks there, and it's about 375,000 acres. It's a new developing area in southeast Turkey. So if you look at the most eastern block, you'll see there's 2 fields, 11 kilometers and 12 kilometers from the most eastern block. And those were discovered in December 2022 and in May 2023. And it's a 1 billion barrel field and a 250 million barrel field. And you can also see there's numerous other pools around it. There's a 37 million barrel pool. If you look at the eastern 2 blocks here, the M46D and M46C, to the north are older fields. They were discovered in 1961. And in that time period, the one has 1.8 billion barrels and the other one 615 billion barrels. And it's about 5 kilometers from our blocks. In addition to that, there's not just one horizon. There's like 4 or 5 different reservoirs. There's everything from carbonates to Paleozoic clastics. And there's also, whenever you drill any well in this area, you'll find a lot of oil staining and some good oil shows. Well, fantastic oil shows would show you that this area generated oil. It migrated, as you can tell by the large pools, and there's lots of pipelines in the area. And then for the eastern pools, they're talking about the Turkish government actually making a refinery. So we have these blocks, and you can see one is 450 square kilometers, and the other 2 are each 900 square kilometers. If you look at a larger picture, you can see that this belt is a continuation of the very large oil fields found in the northern part of Iraq and also in Syria. And as it migrates or trends into Turkey, there really hasn't, some areas have a fair bit of exploration, but really there hasn't. I mean, you can see why. I mean, 2 massive, huge fields found in December 2022 and in May 2023. And we're talking 41 to 38 API. And then the farm-in part of the deal is we will do 2D seismic for 2023, and that's about $4 million. And then we drill 4 wells in 2024 And each well is about 2.5, but then you add an extra 500,000 per road. So those 4 wells will cost about $12 million. So seismic, 4 wells, 2024. Then we are 50-50 partners, and we operate always with the farm-in partner, and we have another 6 wells to drill, and we only pay 50%. The block expiration is good until 2027, 2028, which is fantastic. The one key that I want to show is already there's a bunch of whiners and doubters saying, oh, it's $3 million for seismic and it's $12 million for the drilling of the wells. SASB, one well was $12 million. And we were looking at getting 4 to 5 BCF, about 1 million BOEs. Here, for $12 million, we're getting 4 wells. We're getting 4 kicks at the can. We're going to be doing seismic before then anyways. And we're looking for 5 million, 50 million, or 500 million barrel fields. So there's no comparison between the CapEx required for SASB and for this one. The big difference also is that SASB was reserve and 100% development, except we threw in a small exploration in it. This is an exploration block, but the potential is substantially larger, right? And when you look at it, right now, even for SASB, we are maximizing, like we're going to a reperfing period now for reperfing some of the pay. We are going to be putting slim hole ESPs to put all the wells on, but even not doing that, our cash flow is over $2 million a month. And so we're going to have the other wells on here within a couple of months. So you can see that if we were to get a 50 million barrel field or 100 million barrel field, we'd be making more than $2 million a month, right? We're talking difference in capital. And we're also saying it's only 3 million, 4 million 2023, and 12 million for 2024. So that's about it in the long run. The reason why we wanted to do it is because I think SASB will make the company an okay company. It's a company maker, and like the off-block SASB gas. But again, we're dealing with one commodity, so every time the price of gas went down, the shares price went down, people were worried. Now we have 2. We have oil and gas, and this exploration block has the same magnitude of impact, so it would be a different order of magnitude company.
When we first started talking 2.5 years ago, we were excited about the SASB, of course, which you're now developing and turning into cash flow. We also talked about your Derek license there in Turkey by Iraq, and many people were excited about that, as was I at the time. And if I recall, you said an oil well there was about $10 million. Is that correct, if I'm recalling?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, so is this a comparable play, not exact, but comparable play to that, but a little more cost effective? Would that be a takeaway here?
That's correct. It's in the same trend. And if you were to follow the border here, Derek is about another couple of inches that way, right? And so it's more in the kind of like the foothill type things, but in the area. So it's the same trend, same reservoirs, same source rocks, but here it's cheaper. And also here we have way more discoveries around it, where Derek is like grassroots type exploration. And at one time they thought that Turkey they have a lot of potential. There's a lot of big potential. I mean, where can you find a 1 billion barrel field, right? And then right beside it, find another 250 million barrel field, a mere kilometers away within a couple of 6 months, right? So yeah, this trend goes through. It's the same as Derek, less complicated also because Derek, again, is more the overthrust. So like the foothills type environment, this is not so. This is more in the rolling beginning of foothills partly. But you can see there's a lot more oil fields in here. And because there's been more drilling in Syria and Iraq, it's more established, the trend.
So as you said, SASB is the cash flow engine for the company. The blue sky of the SASB off block, where you were going to pursue that because of the 19 TCF nearby discovery, is that still in the cards, or are you now moving onshore because of the economics?
No, that's still in the cards, but I think, I remember about a couple of interviews ago, I said, maybe I love SASB too much, and every time we drill a well, I'm excited and expect the shares to go up. And like I always say, a company that's listed is basically two companies. You have the share company and you have the asset company, and they're together. And so now we have developed the asset SASB, and in my opinion, the shares should be higher, but they're not. So I'm trying to get this oil project going to do that. Doesn't mean I'm not looking at SASB. Off block, it just, every time we have a good well, it goes up. We're at the same price as we are when we started, right? And so potentially this will really kick it, that there won't be any funny games with the shares.
Okay. Investors, as you are always concerned about dilution and financing. Is this going to result in more dilution or financing in order to pursue this?
It all depends. So, but I can't say it won't, that there won't be financing and stuff like that, because legally I can't, because I can't predict the future. But if you look at the cost of a well here, $2.5, $3 million for a 5-10 to a couple of 100 million barrel field. If there is dilution, it's not going to be real dilution because you're getting a bigger buck. If I were to do an equity raise or debt financing for SASB, we know that a $13 million well will find for the 5 BCF, right?
Okay, so that's the trade-off. How many rigs, a couple questions came in, how many rigs do you expect to have turning on your exploration blocks? And how soon, if you could go over that again?
Yeah, so an example, we won't be drilling until 2024 because SASB wasn't just the cash that allows us to do these projects and so on. By doing SASB, we executed the program. What we said, whether the shares are 35 cents or not, we said we can drill these wells, we can tie this gas on it, we can produce it, and we've done that. And so there's a reputation now that we are a very technically orientated, very good company that can execute the program and so on. And so the owner of the block actually approached us to be a partner with us, right? And so, $2.5 million for the well. So the good thing about it is there is no rush. So it's not like, again, SASB, we get the rig, we have to drill. This one, the commitment is 4 years. 4 wells, 2024, 3 wells, 2025, 3 wells, 2026. We only pay half of those ones. This is very manageable. And so we end up probably using 1 rig. So we're going to do the seismic first, because in this part here where you have these large 2 fields, let's see if I can have the other. There's a trend that comes through here. There's absolutely no wells and no seismic on that part, the northeastern part of the eastern block. And so we're going to shoot seismic there. And we actually have guys out there right now looking at the best orientation and so on. And it's not just about drilling a hole, it's about exploring and proving up whether there's gas and oil there.
Would you consider selling the Bulgarian asset as a means of monetizing this drill program?
So another thing that's turned out is, again, we were approached by industry, as you know, about my news release about the commodity dealer and so on. And they want to help us with the Bulgarian one. There's another deal in the works that at this point in time I can't say anything, which is as good. Both those groups have said that they would not mind being partners with us to develop oil and gas projects in this neck of the woods.
Okay. So that would be on the financial side of getting this done, could be a partner to help fund this, is what you're saying.
That's correct. So for just a scenario, it doesn't mean we're going to do it. I don't want to have
it's a forward-looking statement, everybody. Forward-looking statement.
So they always say, about funding money. We have been approached, but these are the same two groups, that they would be willing to partner with us in SASB, and of course we would make a promote, right? So we would say, you pay 100% of our cost, and you will get 30% of the revenue or 40% of the revenue or something like that. And these avenues have now come along. So it's not just about debt and equity, but for SASB, of course, we say no because we know the gas there, but that possibility always exists, right? And again, they approached us, and it's because of our reputation now to execute and do what we say.
So if I recall, you had said on previous shows, maybe 6-7 months ago, that there were a number of companies actually approaching you, or owners of projects approaching you, because they knew you had cash now with the wells and SASB. So you're bringing to the market now the best of what you've been presented with. Is that accurate?
That's correct. I can tell you that we made an offer when they came to us, and part of the offer was we need to do this correct. And when we finish, if there will be oil or gas there or not, right? It's not, we'll pay you a big chunk of money and just poke a hole into it and then go, and they won't know if there's something there or not. And I really like this property. And another thing is, when I say about the equity raise and so on, that I can't really say yes or no. And on this news release, I actually wanted to say, and I'm saying it now, but it's not in writing, that this is the best oil property I have come across in my career. And my lawyer said, no, you can't say that. So now I said it, but I couldn't say that.
Can I make that the title of this episode then, Art? Is that okay if I take that quote?
Well, I'll let people figure it out right now. So the other big projects I've been involved in, I'll do it quickly, was Canaco, was Rancho Hermoso, and it was
turned it into a $500 million company.
Yeah, and we started off with an oil field, but it was a limited size, and so we knew. And then there was Scimitar, Rally Energy in Egypt, and they were arguing about, this is 500,000 or 500 million or 700 million barrels. And I said, it doesn't really matter. But the issue with that one, it was in a carbonate, and it had to be huff and puff. Chad, Africa, there's really good oil fields around there, and we found some big deposits, but it was supply pipeline in the middle of Africa. This one, you can see the pipelines. You can see all the fields around it. We're not talking small fields like Rancho Hermoso. We're talking 250 to, a billion barrel types fields. There's lots of rigs. Where in Europe, you decide whether you think this is the best oil project or not. I mean, it is.
Well, we'll just leave it there. And just briefly before you go, what are the next more near-term catalysts that investors should expect from the company?
In the next day or two, we'll be releasing the LEPILI results for the production or the tests and so on. And I'm hoping that maybe in a month after we have some of the deals lined up, I can do a news release on the other group that we are working with.
Excellent. Well, I'm a shareholder of Trillion. They're also a show sponsor. And to learn more, go to the company's website, TRLEFenergy.com. Ticker symbol is TCF in Canada and TRLEF in the States. Thanks for joining me today, Art.
Thank you very much.